Good afternoon, fellow participants in this breakout session. My name is Esinam Nyado, and I work for Miss Taxi Ghana. It's it's a shame I couldn't make it to this session. However, I'm still grateful to good old internet for making my virtual participation a possibility and to share my story with you. Miss Taxi Ghana was born out of a failed quest. A failed quest by a young lady back in the year 2012 to become a tipper truck or a dump truck driver. She had combed the length and breadth of Accra, scouting for a master driver to take her on as a trainee driver and hopefully gain the experience to manage a monster truck on the road. But that failed. You should hear as to why they couldn't take me on as a trainee driver. It's simple. I'm a woman. They gave me 1,001 reasons why they thought I couldn't survive the industry or the occupation as a woman. I was disappointed, I must confess. So then I settled down. I had to tone down my ambition and settled on the taxi service business, which I had started. But it came with a lot of challenges. It did come with a lot of challenges. Number one, acceptance. Acceptance by the gatekeepers of the industry, and also acceptance from your clients or the clientele base or the market segment that you or I wanted to serve. So those were the major challenges. Acceptance by the male colleagues into taxi unions, and also acceptance from the service users. I did find a couple of ways to mitigate that, and that was through my association with the media, I would say. Well, it's very uncommon for a woman to be driving a taxi, offering full taxi service to clients. So I sort of stuck out. So the local media noticed. Not only the local media, but also the international media platforms had also picked it up. And soon, I would say the challenges that was associated with the market segment started dismantling itself, because my whole story had generated social conversations. And I remember I'll be driving down the streets of Accra, I'll tune in into radio stations, and I'm basically the topic of discussions on morning shows during rush hour, and I would smile at it and laugh it off. But then, what gave me more confidence is the fact that not only was I driving out of curiosity, but also I had taken it a step further because I was studying for my master's, and I was basically driving my thesis. So the taxi wasn't just a social experiment to solicit answers to the perception of the Ghanaian society when it came to or comes to occupational gender segregation, but it was my full-blown academic studies, academic thesis research. So that gave me a leverage that also propelled the ways I mitigated these obstacles I had faced. It created not only social conversations, it created academic conversations, and lo and behold, such conversations ended up on the decks of Scania West Africa. And very soon I found myself having discussions with the management of Scania West Africa, and the discussions bordered on projects they have been cooking or projects that they are designing, and they wanted my opinion about it because I had just finished this thesis on occupational gender segregation, and I'm still practicing as a female taxi driver and an entrepreneur, basically. So I would say that link, that connection of generating industry conversation, yes, that's the word, generating industry conversations through research findings, and also linking up with prominent stakeholders within the industry, sort of became the help or the aid that propelled Miss Taxi into becoming a notable force of change when it comes to attempting to increase the percentage of women's participation in the transport sector in Ghana, basically. Not only did I find Scania West Africa as a very formidable partner, but I also found the German Development Corporation also as a formidable partner, because at that point GIZ and Scania and another governmental organization had formed a consortium in trying to design and come up with a project that would train women, and not just women with experience, as in female drivers with no experience at all, to become bus drivers. So that, I would say, is the help Miss Taxi ended up finding that sort of shaped things and made Miss Taxi a valuable contributor to that space, within that space of having women participate in the transport service sector. One would ask, what is the future for Miss Taxi? As much as we are all ambitious and want to do more, and more and more. I would say I would love to see Miss Taxi stay relevant within the conversations that borders change, conversations that borders increasing women's participation, not only in the transport service sector, but also generally having women have the opportunity and being empowered to take spaces in hitherto industries that they weren't deemed fit to be in. That would be what I would say looks like the future for Miss Taxi Ghana. And this could entail a lot of things. It would entail collaborations, it could entail being in consultation with other stakeholders. Gone were the days when Miss Taxi was a lone ranger fighting for change. But now Miss Taxi has this rich partnership history with all these relevant stakeholders, and we would love to see this partnership develop further and further and bring about the change we all look out for. Thank you for making time to listen, and I wish we all have something to take away from this event and realize that the change we look for actually starts with us. Thank you.